Solana traders are getting wiped out. Scams, rugs, pump and dumps, literally it feels like it's just one after another. So after months of insane gains, the markets turned sour and Solana is feeling the heat. So it would seem that the same chain that was printing millions is now drowning in bad press. And it seems like the price is really reflecting it. But here's the thing. What if this dump is not just about all the FUD? What if there's a much bigger force at play that's actually been driving this sell-off? And more importantly, what if I told you that this is actually a huge opportunity in disguise for us again? So today I'll break it all down and explain why Solana is actually struggling, why it's definitely not going to last forever, and where the next great setup or opportunity to come in could be. So hello, my name is Jessica. I'm so happy you're here today. And without further ado, let's just jump into the show. Okay, so taking a quick look at Bitcoin, you would see that we're sitting right around the same price that we were when I last left you, 97,000. Bitcoin is still trending sideways, guys, but that's not because there isn't mass global adoption happening every day. And as we can see here by Jelly on X, they explain that typically higher lows after a slow period of just sideways grinding is typically followed by a bounce. And it's definitely not the first time we're seeing this cycle. I'll zoom in for you here and you can see how we've been sideways trending just as we previously have, and every time it has led to a bounce. At least that's exactly how all previous patterns have played out. So at this point we have reason to believe it'll be very similar again. And if we take a look at how the Bitcoin ETFs, which once again are not a direct reflection of Bitcoin's market, Bitcoin's chart, nor does it have an impact on the altcoins or the rest of the crypto space as we know it. Okay, this is a reflection of institutional interest, which is actually a signal to us of how the world at large is starting to adopt and come into Bitcoin and the crypto space. So you'd see that last week on Friday, by end of business day on the East Coast, we closed the day with $70.6 million of value back into the Bitcoin ETFs. And if we zoom in to take a look at what adoption this whole last year has actually looked like ever since the Bitcoin ETFs became legalized across top institutions. If we take BlackRock as a use case here, this was shared by Trader T actually on X. They show us on this chart the progression, and I'll zoom in on it for you in here in a second, but it's the progression of Q1, Q2, Q3, all the way to Q4, and how many filings and how much value BlackRock was holding for its Bitcoin ETFs. And you can see that, for instance, let me just read this for you. 1,041 institutions reports in Q4 shows a 55% gain from last year. How unbelievable was that? At the time, we only had 672. So this basically means that the institutes doubled their Bitcoin position by Q4. So that's quite amazing. And what's even more interesting, if we now take a closer look at who's actually holding, like how much value, like how much are these individual family wealth funds or, separate financial institutions buying from BlackRock, buying their Bitcoin ETF, who's holding how much and where are they from? This was a question I had when I was studying for this video. And it's interesting to see that the seventh largest holder of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETFs is a sovereign wealth fund from Abu Dhabi. What else is interesting and is not highlighted on the screen here is that Symmetry and Avenir, which are the third and the fourth largest holders, Bitcoin ETF, Hong Kong companies. So it's very interesting to see where like the distribution of wealth, like where the wealth is coming from, because we think of it only as like, oh, BlackRock has so many ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs. But who are the people or the entities that make up that investment and where are they from? Because that will actually show us who around the world is securing themselves in advance through BlackRock. So it's interesting to note that. And we also have the breaking news that apparently I'm not familiar with them, but the largest pension fund in the US now owns nearly 100 million Bitcoin via the ticker Mr. or MicroStrategy's company. That's Michael Saylor's company. If you're not familiar already, he's like the biggest Bitcoin evangelist is what people would call him. And it's interesting because at MicroStrategy, you don't actually own your Bitcoin. You're investing in the company whose business model revolves around Bitcoin. It makes their profit based off of Bitcoin. So it's really interesting to see how close sort of like traditional companies or like, a pension fund that handles people's retirement money. So a very, very conservative type company would be dabbling into Bitcoin, but not all in yet because they're not straight out buying their own Bitcoin. They're going through a company that's profiting from Bitcoin. So we could potentially in the near future see this much more value pour directly into Bitcoin, but I doubt it because they're a highly conservative company. But it's hypothetical. It shows you how many people are getting really interested in Bitcoin. Next, we also have the National Bank of Canada and the Bank of Montreal also loading up on MicroStrategy's Mr. stock. So this is also very interesting because, Canada, I'm not going to joke about them, but they're very kind, careful people. If you know any Canadians in your life, you would know, and I shouldn't say this, but they always apologize a lot for everything and very kind. So very careful culture, which is lovely. Anyway, it's really wonderful overall that they're starting to invest in Bitcoin's direction. But once again, they're buying stocks, or shares into a company, and they're not actually owning their own Bitcoin. But at least part of their investment shouldn't depreciate because the company they're investing into is appreciating based off of Bitcoin's appreciation. So, but they're using fiat, right? That is inherently losing its value. So at least they moved that value over. Anyway, it's very interesting to see companies like get close to Bitcoin, but not straight out buying it yet. That said, we also have another famous investor, Paul Tudor, who owns his own investment funds and different money-making vehicles and companies, apparently is also announcing or publishing anyway for the public that his fund owns 427 million or bought that much in Bitcoin's ETFs, which is their largest holding. So this is an extremely bullish and positive, strong signal for us all, for someone from the traditional finance world, although I don't know that much about what their investment fund invests into, but for them to make it their largest fund, largest holding, that speaks volumes to me, speaks of confidence, a lot of confidence, especially funds because they're managing other people's money. So they have to be very confident in what they invest in. So that speaks volumes. And then this that I'm sharing on the screen here is just lovely. I'm going to put this on a t-shirt, and it's just a reminder to us all of why we're in this, because in a minute I'm going to get into all the drama that happened, right? With oh my gosh, president of Argentina and promoting this Libra coin that tanked the market, right? We'll get into that in a second. But for a second, before I do, let's just remember that crypto came and was born because of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is so powerful because it has no founder. It has no ruling foundation, has no pre-mine, has no insiders, has no initial investors, has no office, has no website, has no paid executive team, has no marketing team, has no paid dev team, has no starting price, has no human controlling it, and it's the fairest money on earth. That's why. So before we get sidetracked with all these crazy other scams, we know that, for instance, what you're looking at the screen here, my screen, FTX, huge scandal that tanked us last bull run. Well, it was towards the end of it. Scams are going to happen. I was listening today a certain podcast, I forget the name. Oh, was it Bankless Nation on how? I forget. I was just driving today and so I was listening to a lot of content. And scammers are always going to use, they're fast, and they're always going to use the latest technology available to them to scheme up some sort of trap and scam people from their money. So that can't blame the means. You can't blame the US dollar for being used to buy drugs, right? Or for anything else illicit. It's a tool. Well, it's the same thing within crypto, except it's this real and truly, it's a wild, wild west where it's unpredictable and people are going to get injured and hurt. And the same way that they did historically, every time anyone pioneered and went outside of their country or crossed an ocean, not to get all, metaphorical, but it's true. This is is a very extremely exciting new world that we call Web3, but it's also dangerous. And that's why you have to do your own research and always be learning, you know, and learn from scams like this to make sure that it never happens to you again. Anyway, we'll get into the scam with the president of Argentina in a second, but to wrap up the thought on FTX, apparently distributions, as I was talking about like a week and a half ago, start tomorrow. Oh my gosh. And we better believe those people are going to be pouring their money straight back into crypto and altcoins. So you can expect a pump basically by tomorrow. Like, it's here, guys. And all we really need on the DL is we need like a lot of momentum and good momentum. But we can also expect there to be more meme pump and dumps, a lot of them, unfortunately. But anyway, we should be seeing a liquidity injection starting tomorrow. So this is extremely exciting. And if we just revisit, I do not like to meditate too much on the past, but it is very important to remember and make sure that these things don't happen to us again. I covered the African Republic president meme, #CAR. Everyone was talking about it last week. I told you guys to be careful that I would not buy it. I told you it was going to be a scam, and it turned out to be a scam. Right? We already know that the Trump coin belly flop, Melania Trump. I wasn't too much in the weeds with the whole CZ one, but now we have the Argentinian president promoting and then changing his mind halfway through it and pulling out and allowing the whole token just to crash all the more. But a lot of people lost a lot of money, and it's really quite sad. Let's move through this chart. But yeah, it's sad. I'm not going to cover this in full detail because it's just tragic, although maybe I'll just read a few things for you. But basically, whoever the key wallet holders, they were 8. You can see them here on the screen. You can go do your own research if you want to take a screenshot. I'll also just repost it on my account, Crypto by Jess on X. Go do research. Go follow these wallets, see if they're moving any money, where they're moving it to. But apparently these 8 wallets are related to Libra's core team. And apparently they cashed out $107 million. That's sad. That's very sad for everyone who lost out, but I hope those people don't fall for the scam again. That would be the biggest takeaway in this really expensive lesson, would be all of those people never get scammed again. Although unfortunately so many people do. And that's why if you don't want to be stressing out, you just buy Bitcoin, you buy some Ethereum, you buy some Solana, even though right now there's a lot of value being lost in rug pulls on Solana, but that's only in proportion to how much volume they run as it is. They're conducting so much business. I pretty much cover Solana in almost every single one of my videos, and you would know this if you've been following me or doing your own research. So yeah, that's in proportion. We'll get into that here in a second in greater detail. But yeah, so apparently the president of Argentina is now facing potential impeachment charges. It's going to come down to how much he can disclose and prove that he is innocent. He has expressed interest based off of my research and listening to him. He has expressed a lot of interest in the past to getting involved with crypto, but he's not deep in the trenches. You know, he's been primarily a politician and running for president, which I can imagine is very time consuming. So apparently some kids approached him, forget his name, like Davies or Davis, and they convinced him to create a coin. And then I guess halfway through it, he must have realized it was a bad idea. And he wrote a public tweet saying he didn't know anything about it. He wasn't associated. And then the token crashed. And I guess whoever was initially given a certain amount of the circulating supply sold. This definitely happens a lot, which is why I'll encourage you to follow me closely, listen to the projects I share with you, follow channels like Kyle Chasset's channel, like Ivan on Tech, and Elio Trades, for instance. Channels like this, I personally know them to some extent and know of what they're building, and I've heard them speak, and I respect these thought leaders. And Alex Becker, for instance. You really want to be very careful who you listen to in crypto. So don't listen to everybody. Don't buy into every token. And if you are going to jump into a meme coin that's flying very fast, doesn't matter who talks about it, guys, because people's accounts could get hacked. Like President how do you say his name? Milei from Argentina. He could have been hacked. Chances are he wasn't, but he could. People get hacked all the time. So it doesn't matter who talks about what, like we're very much so on our own out in cyber space. And if you are going to invest into a meme coin that you see flying very, very fast, make sure it's money that you will not cry if you lose. And if you invest into any token that myself or the people that I mentioned share with you, still invest with caution. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. That is just a golden rule. And then now honing in a bit more on Solana, you would see, as this chart shows you, this is by Bread Guy on X, and it shows us how basically Solana rugs, or these pump and dumps, right? Like this last meme coin that the president of Argentina, Milei, promoted, mainly because Solana is so big, but you would see that the Solana rugs, or these pump and dumps, have in total their value, like the amount of volume that they've brought in on rugs, has been more than, for instance, fees on OpenSea or even Uniswap fees. Like that's a lot. But once again, it's a large number because Solana in general is producing a lot of volume. So yeah, moving on. And then this is the factor I was mentioning in my intro. There's a larger factor at play here affecting Solana's ecosystem, and that is that there are some unlocks happening. So in the next 3 months, for instance, there's going to be 7.5 billion of Solana unlocks, which is the largest unlock in history so far. Now, keep in mind, not everyone's going to sell. So don't think that 7.5 billion is going to come back into the ecosystem. Most of these people holding, which are Galaxy, you can see here in the chart, Galaxy, Pantera, and then Figure, they're smart money, they're big funds, and they know that Solana is going to go up in value. They understand the tech, they understand all the variables. And so they're not going to sell all their Solana. I could see them selling like 5-10%. I'd be really surprised if I saw them sell more than that, because Solana is going to go up in value. Although, who knows, they may want to invest into some more riskier new plays, new investment opportunities that'll give them larger and higher returns, which they can then turn around and buy more Bitcoin of, which ultimately is more valuable than Solana or Ethereum. And they can always buy back into Solana or just keep what they're happy with. So who knows, but I just want you to know that it doesn't mean all 7.5 billion of Solana's new tokens being locked into the market. It doesn't mean they're all going to come to the market. But yes, there are some huge unlocks happening, which is ultimately kind of a good thing, because it means Solana is on sale or is not going to be so expensive in the next few months. It means it still gives us an opportunity to continue to buy some more at a discounted price. Because remember, there are other factors in the market that are affecting it and may very likely kick off the parabolic phase of this bull run. So all things considered, it's just, for me, I see it as good. Solana is still on sale. And once again, as I was saying earlier, I mean, obviously the fact that Solana's, produced more in volume just off of rugs than, OpenSea or Uniswap, that's because they're just holding, a large percentage of the overall market cap in the crypto market. Just in terms of, total value locked across all chains, there are more tokens locked, Solana tokens locked, than there are of Bitcoin. Drawn, definitely far more than like the next ones, than like BNB, and we know BNB has been on fire. So, it's all comparable. So ultimately, it's good they have so much locked, is a good chunk that'll just kind of secure and anchor the price, keep it from going too low. So ultimately, I think Solana is going to be fine. I'm not worried about it, but that's definitely a factor and a reason as to why Solana has been down a bit. And then we have Chris Berniski here wrapping things up, saying, once again, appears to be people are capitulating on everything season. As a long-term investor, you make your future bread during periods like this. So this is the very positive outlook on a turbulent market as we're seeing now, due to whichever rug. I mean, it's like, pick the flavor. Pick the flavor of the day. It's either Trump's meme, it's Melania's meme, it's, the Republic of Africa is doing a meme. Now it's the president of Argentina doing a meme. Like, what's next? You can expect this ongoing. They are momentary, small waves in the market, sometimes big waves, that if you are wanting to invest in a more risk-on way, they're good things. Like, you can hop on, ride the wave, hop off, and then make a chunk of money, which then you can buy more Bitcoin with, or whichever, more Chainlink or Ondo or whatever your hopefully a top AI agent token that I've mentioned in the past. So anyway, this is where you make a lot of money, but it is very, very dangerous at the same time. So you have to be aware of what you're doing and what you're investing in. But okay, guys, that's a wrap for today's video. I will be now starting to publish my videos blogs. So if you want to share it with someone who's more of a reader, whatever it is, or you want a recap of the video, but you can't go watch it, you can always go read the blog. I'll link it below. And yeah, coming soon with the course, just finishing things up. I thought I would just let you know. And yeah, in the meantime, take care, be safe out there, and I'll catch you guys here tomorrow.